God. So we're doing the thing again, where we go big and low with the stuff. I hope you're doing well. I assume you are fantastic. One would expect. I am okay, honestly. I've been kind of busy, nonstop, for the last 3 days. I got a thing in my tire. That sucked, like a nail. And then from that, I got this just kind of sense of dread about the entire universe. And then I realized I was overreacting. So I pulled back. We're on the old set. I just, I don't know. I'm just feeling tired today. So I didn't want to go too crazy with all of it. I got some Liquid Death, their version of Orangina, which is the only version I can have because it doesn't have any sugar in it. Or, wait, it's got like 4 grams of sugar and 4 carbs, but it's basically nothing. And I got eggs and avocados and beans. So, like, the way it works essentially is you can you count the carbs that are on the thing on the back, and then from there you take sorry. From there you take the protein and you subtract what the protein is against the carbs, and that gives you more kind of an understanding on how to count the carbs for the food that you eat. This is not for everyone. This is specifically a diabetic thing. As I am that guy, uh, I'm just putting up some. I know this isn't very interesting right now. I'm continuing to send these out so people can see them. But it's there we go. Now I'm done. I don't have to look at anything else. I can just be as we are and be a part of all the things in which I'm doing. One of the more annoying things about trying to do this myself and being my own everything as far as this goes is that I kind of have to figure out how to do all this like immediately. And that can be kind of difficult. In the moment, it doesn't always work, which is kind of frustrating. But I guess it is what it is at that point. You do all these things, you make all this art, you purposely try to get everything going in the best abilities that you can, and there you go. So today's food, bam, bam, bam. Avocados, eggs, yeah, vegan chili, all the things. Some brown rice. This is like leftovers from a couple days ago, but so good, so nice, so nice. So for those who read the descriptor, yeah, I came home Saturday night, heard a whoosh coming out my back tire. There's a nail. Tried to fix it. Possibly made it worse. And then in that, have to get a new tire today. I've been needing to do it for a while anyways. So it works out. It is what it is, you know? So last year, I fell in love with this show called Scavenger's Reign. Scavenger's Reign is a kind of space odyssey, discovering a planet, astronauts, type of thing on a planet that's very much alive. And then, like, how these people the survivors sort of manage to kind of get through it. And then, like, the troubles and tribulations and etc. that go on in it. There's two main characters, this lady and this guy, and then there's a villain character. There's a cool robot who's becoming kind of connected with the with the planet, which I think is interesting. I'll push this back a little. Get those full views. There we go. I'm a boy here. And in that, it's kind of cool. It was, they've got like all these weird kind of Rube Goldbergian type of devices that they use to go around. Take my pills, my morning pills. They use to go around. D3, very good for you. Just take it. They use these kind of Rube Goldbergian bio machines, basically. Where, like, you pick up a bug, you take the bug, you walk up to another plant, put the bug on that. As it walks, its footprints become bioluminescent, which attract other things, and then they poop. And then from that, the plant absorbs it, and then these pods pop out, and then they can use the pods, which are its seeds, as air filters, so they can go into the ground, and they get something else. And it was just like this really kind of cool inventive machine. Like it's that whole concept of like you go somewhere. Actually, there you go. I can rant now. I know people who have this concept of you shouldn't, when you go other places all over the world, you should basically just stick to what you know. Like Coca-Cola, hot dogs, like not hot dogs from the country, like I don't know who makes hot dogs. Any hot dogs? Oscar Mayer hot dog. So you're in Zimbabwe, for all intents and purposes. You're in Russia. You're in Antarctica. You're in Colombia, you're in Cuba, you're in Louisiana. I don't know. Louisiana feels like it's a different country. You're in all these places, and hey, how's it going? And Sienna, how's it going? Hey, you're in all these places or whatever, and you're not willing to try out the food, and it's very interesting to me because like I come from a culture in the Caribbean where I mean there are dietary restrictions. There's turkey bacon, so cool. Okay, fair enough. I'm from a place in the Caribbean where like people have dietary restrictions, but for the most part, like, they bring you out food, you eat the food. That's kind of what it is. You're definitely not sending a drink back and going, oh, do you have high C instead of fruit punch that is made from the fruits of the country? And it's very interesting to just kind of see people who don't wish to kind of assimilate with their surroundings. They want their surroundings to kind of bend to them and what they know, type of thing. and it's just it's very strange. Oh, what you're having for breakfast? Oh, cool, cool. That's awesome. My mom's big into almond milk. You think it's an interesting point? I just think it's weird. I think it's strange that like we go to all these like weird little countries in places, and then some of us just don't. They don't grasp it. I knew a kid who went to Italy, and instead of like going out and trying the food and really kind of steeping himself in the culture, he made like I think he was like college abroad. I think he just brought like a bunch of like Chef Boyardee cans with him and ate that. Now, mind you, this guy was like ridiculously corny, and so he thought if he made food at the dorm, it would get him like an in with all the young women who were in college with him. Not realizing that like these young women wanted to like go out into Italy and like meet people and speak Italian and meet boys and girls and all this stuff. It was just a very strange thing. I remember coming back and telling me about it, and I was like, "So you didn't like go to like villages and villas and like try out this like natural cuisine that people make and see how like the artisanness and whatnot." He's like, "Nah, that wasn't my thing." I was like, "Oh, you paid a lot of money to stay at home from like several thousand miles away. All right." It was just weird to me. It's not something that I would do. It's not something I would be allowed to do. I think really, not where I'm from. You wouldn't be allowed to get away with that. You'd probably get cussed out, and then you could sit back on a plane home. But like I stayed with family and stuff, so I mean, maybe that's the giant difference in that. But it's just strange. I don't know. But that's one of the things I liked about Scavenger's Reign. Like I loved that it set me on this whole kind of like concept idea of people learning and using the land and not trying to change it. Like one of the things I always hated about sci-fi was the whole concept of like terraforming. Like you go to a planet that has whatever going on, and so your concept is, "Oh, let me change this so that I don't have to wear a mask." Because if I can make this as simple as I possibly can for me, then I'm good. And it just seems always kind of crazy. And then I think about like alien movies, and I'm like, and then something eats you, which happens in Scavenger Reign also. I don't know. It's just interesting. It was an interesting thing. I like kind of videos and movies and stuff that are along those lines because to me they inspire creativity in my mind. It's like a creative aphrodisiac, if you will. I don't know. It's kind of perfect in that way. Another way that I oftentimes find myself kind of keeping my art instincts sharp and very much kind of forward moving is that I made a point to read a lot. I know that doesn't sound as fun for some people. I know some people don't like to read. To those people, I challenge you to read about something that actually interests you. For me, growing up as a kid, comic books were like my way of kind of connecting with literacy. Had a lot of pictures, had a lot of imagery, just had a lot of just kind of dialogue and stuff like that. Like, you're so down to earth. Thank you so much. A friend of mine said a long, long time ago that the concept was comic books don't really get put in the right, and graphic novels and stuff like that don't really get put in the right glossary of art, of literature. Glossary of literature. That's a better way to put it. And from that, you have to kind of realize that like there's a lot of really, really, really great books out there that are collaborated with a lot of really great artists. One of my favorites right now, for the last couple of years, if I can find it real quick, is this book by Mike Mignola, who did Hellboy, called The Amazing Screw-On Head and Utter Curiosities. And it's one of my favorite books. Like, I've come back to it several times. And it's just interesting. I love the way it's drawn, but I like the story also. So if you're like trying to get young kids or even, old kids like us into these things, you gotta learn how to kind of get people interested, motivated, if you will. So that's kind of what I try to do. Like, I try to find all these weird little art things and how they connect. Like, one day, I think about like a few books that I've done, because I've put out a few books as the years have gone by, art books though. I feel like the honesty of books like that has to be, they're meant to like grab your attention, make you feel something. And so like you have to kind of really put that forward. And you do have to search those things out a little bit, It's important to figure out what goals you want as you get older and figure out how to get to them. It's not just enough that you want to. I think a lot of people get to like the end of the year or the beginning of the year. They make all these resolutions about all these things they're going to do and how they're going to get things going and so on and so forth. And they don't seem to realize like you have to kind of make steps going forward to get to those. The first mural I ever did, I was asked by someone randomly. I was super panicked, but I got it done, and I felt better for it afterwards. But I knew, I talked to friends, I asked friends who were famous muralists, I asked all types of people and stuff and things on just how to kind of figure out pricing, figure out all of it. And it gave me perspective. I think the biggest problem most people have when trying to get into art and making art, as I am el pintor, the painter, and this is my breakfast, painter's breakfast, is you have to be willing to ask for help. And I think the hard part is, in asking for help, You're going to get a lot of people who are very successful in your eyes that no one else knows who they are. Um, and they're not going to help you. They're going to ignore you. They're not going to give you that guidance that you wish they would. And that's okay. Because there are other artists like myself who will try to at least help you figure some stuff out. I have a guy who wants to do a book right now, and he wants a cover for the book. He was talking to me about it, and it's kind of like a science fiction thing. It's got like an astronaut, the whole thing. And he showed me an idea using AI art, which we all know I'm opposed to. But he showed me what he was looking for, and I was like, okay, what exactly do you like about this? I was like, you went to this effort to find this and to make this and have this made. So in that, what do you like so much about it? Like, do you like the font? Do you like the textures? Do you like the colors? Do you like the shapes? Do you like the placement of the thing? You know, you think like an astronaut. You've got astronaut, moon, Earth, the sun, and then it's all kind of, you know, it's got like that line, that curve of like things, the motion where the eyes go, and it's like, well, is that what you like about it? Do you like the motion? Do you like the images? Do you like all the above? You're just proud, you're just happy of all of it. Like, what does that look like? You know? Because I think one of the main things about art is it like touches you, and from that, you have to learn like what it touches. You know? Like, I've seen art in my life that makes me mad. I've seen art in my life that makes me sad. I've seen art in my life that makes me fall in love. I've seen art in my life that doesn't do anything. And like, there's reasons behind all of that. And you have to be willing, if you're trying to make something, to figure out what it is about that you like. Like, I remember, I'm gonna keep going back to comic books because it's the best thing I can think of as a visual description. I remember being a young kid and like loving the X-Men comic books, but also loving the cartoon. But the cartoon was different in a lot of ways than a comic book was. And to find the similarities and what you actually liked about them, you did have to some extent, kind of look and see, because like the characters were different. I mean, they weren't, but they were. And the storylines were different. People got left out. Some characters were made to be more likable. I remember like growing up, reading the comics and not liking Wolverine at all. I thought he was a jerk. I didn't like him at all. Then I get to the cartoons and the movies and all this stuff, and like, I really like Wolverine. He's a great character. And you just have to kind of realize like there's a way that people are presented that give you that kind of vibe. And in that, chasing that vibe, you have to figure out what makes the difference, what matters, what doesn't matter. If you had to take one thing away from your favorite character, that wouldn't change them as the character, what would that be? I go to Wolverine, because he's the most recognizable character I can think of. He's got his claws, he's got his skeleton, he's got his healing factor, he's got that crazy hair. He's little, he's Canadian. Kind of ornery. Bit of a ladies' man. But if you take something out of that equation, he's still Wolverine. You change his hair, he's still Wolverine. You make him less charismatic, he's still Wolverine. You know? That's that whole thing. So like a lot of times when you're like making art and you're doing things, like you have to understand that you're not always going to get all the ingredients, and so you have to kind of distill it to its purest form, but still getting your message across. I guess is the main idea. And I'm just rambling at this point. The show typically goes until I finish my food, which I have, and I ran out of things to talk about, which some would say I have. So, Galeras, I love you. I hope you have a great day. Wish me well. Hopefully I get raked over the coals for this tire. But I need a new one, so it is what it is. And love you much. See you next week. Painter out. Ciao. Bye. I love how you want to press the button and look cool, but you don't.